Good evening. So this is Talk with Doc Lucky, and I've been talking about doing this for years and finally got around to doing it. Thank you, COVID-19, for the opportunity. A lot of free time to get my act together and get this going. Yo-Yo Talk is about yo-yos. We're going to talk about my love of the history of yo-yos. We're going to talk about collecting yo-yos, looking at stuff that's for sale right now, and kind of dissecting that to see if it's worthy or not. We'll talk about world records. The AYYA, or American Yo-Yo Association, is defunct, but the world records are not defunct. We've been maintaining those for the last 25 years. So you can still go out and set a world record if you go to yo-yos.net. That's yo-yos with a hyphen. The records are posted there. And I might put in a little plug. If you are a current world record holder and I don't have a little clip from your world record attempt posted, that largely means that the tape was not worthy of reproduction, meaning that some of those were done on VHS tapes and I just couldn't get them converted. So I'd like for you guys to get recognition. So contact me if you are the current world record holder, and we'll see if we can get a little clip of you up. If you don't have the clip from the original world record, at least you doing the event. And so everybody can see that you're the world record holder. And so anyway, here's a world record certificate. We still pass them out. It has to be done at tournaments, and all the information on doing world records is on the yo-yos.net, as well as the records. Tournaments, we'll eventually be talking about tournaments, but thanks to COVID-19, I don't think there's any tournaments going on in the near future. But it does give you a lot of practice time right now. So I think the next tournament that is held, everybody's going to be at the top of their game, because there's not a darn bit of anything else you can be doing with your free time other than throwing a yo-yo. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of new tricks and stunts come out of the COVID-19 disaster. In addition to yo-yos, of course, I'll be discussing zombies occasionally, because I have determined, and this is evidence-based science, that yo-yo players do make the best zombie hunters. That's a fact. And so we will relate some things about zombie hunting during my discussion. And you can ask me anything on this show. The comment section on the Facebook is open, and you can ask me anything, and I probably have an answer for it, but I won't give it to you unless it's about zombies or yo-yos. So anyway, but go ahead and ask. First, I want to say, hey, at the end of the show, we've got a nice little pop quiz, and we got great giveaways. Let's see those prizes here. So we got a Duncan tournament in package. That's from the 60s. Beginner's Top from Duncan. You got a Doc Lucky's non-responsive yo-yo. 2004 World Championship yo-yo. Duncan 62 trick book. A nice Cheerio string pack. And a signed copy of Lucky's Collector's Guide to 20th Century Yo-Yos. A couple $100 worth of prizes there, going to one person that answers the single question, the pop quiz question at the end of the show. So I hope you hang out, and we'll be around for the pop quiz. So now we will go to our hot auction segment.
Doc Lucky's Flaming Hot Auction Picks of the Week.
So hot auctions are largely, we're looking at what's going on eBay right now. And if you check on eBay and you click in yo-yos and worldwide, you'll find 90,000 hits. Now, some of them aren't yo-yos. And then you got probably 7,000 of what I call the doodle yo-yos, which are those black and white yo-yos that they just stamp something on, and there's a zillion different ones. I don't even think those even count as yo-yos. But there are a heck of a lot of yo-yos out there. There's some good deals and there's some crappy deals. I'm going to deal here with talking about some of the things that interest me. Now, that doesn't mean they're a great buy. It just means that when I look at these, it really catches my eye as a yo-yo collector. And we'll see what's what's going on. We'll go with choice number 3 right now.
Number 3, hot pick of the week.
So, choice number 3, this is my third choice of the 3 top ones that I've kind of been looking at eBay and I find very interesting. Let's pop that one up. So this is a festival baseball yo-yo, but you'll notice there's a signature on it, and that signature is Mickey Mantle. Now, right now it's on sale for $650, but if you, oh, I'm sorry, no, that's $595. And if you're a baseball fan, Mickey Mantle is obviously a home run king legend. When I was a kid, he was the man. His baseball cards sell for hundreds of dollars. Anything with his signature on it is you know, brings $200 or $300. Now, this baseball yo-yo comes with a certificate of authenticity, but I'm not sure how much you can trust that. I tried to look it up, and I wasn't really successful in finding anything to say the person that had signed the certificate of authenticity was actually authentic. So you would buy this at your own risk, and I noticed they're talking about a one-of-a-kind deal, but then it's also listed for $495 with basically the same MO. So a little bit of trepidation with this one. It's also a pretty expensive yo-yo, but based on if it is real, and it is really Mickey Mantle's signature, that would be a very rare item. And although I don't think the baseball collectors will go for it, certainly it would be of interest to the high-end yo-yo collectors. So something to kind of keep an eye on there. Okay, let's go to hot pick number 2.
Number 2, hot pick of the week.
All right, this yo-yo is a particularly cool yo-yo in a series of yo-yos. If you've ever collected yo-yos, almost everybody knows the name Tom Kuhn. He's a dentist out of San Francisco that's been making yo-yos since the late 70s, early 80s. I kind of attribute Tom Kuhn to kick-starting the yo-yo movement that started in the 80s, which then led into the national and world championships. I don't think it would have happened without Tom Kuhn creating some fabulous wood yo-yos. And there's a lot of people that like collecting Tom Kuhn, and some of his yo-yos sell very high-end, especially the limited editions, which is what we're looking at right now. This is an Olympic yo-yo from the LA Olympics 1984. And the catch is that this yo-yo was only made as a prototype. I think there was one very small run, and I don't know how many total. I think the runs usually ran around 48. It may have been less than that. Now, the interesting thing with this is, when you're looking at the yo-yo, is it is an Olympic yo-yo, incredibly rare. I'm sure every Tom Kuhn collector out there is salivating over this yo-yo right now. But there are actually 2 versions of that yo-yo. You notice that little hex nut, which is holding the axle in place, which is kind of incredibly, that's what Tom Kuhn yo-yos have. That one is silver. There is also one that is gold, and I have both models. The gold one has kind of a very heavy lacquer finish, where the silver one seems to have more of a satin-like finish. I don't know if they were all made that way. But anyway, this yo-yo's up right now for $650. Obviously, during COVID-19 and everybody's watching their pennies, I don't know if it'll bring that. I think back in the day, and when I say the day, I'm talking about the height of yo-yo collecting, which was in 1998 and to 2000, when yo-yos were going berserko. This would have probably easily brought $650. So anyway, I have my eye on it, but I have the yo-yo, but I think it's a very interesting item up for auction and something everybody should keep their eye on, especially if the price comes down just a tad. Okay, I think we're ready now for the top pick of the day. Top pick.
Number 1, hot pick of the week.
Next item, which is my number 1 pick for looking at, is very interesting. It's not a yo-yo. It is actually a display box full of yo-yos. And let's go on and show that image there. This is a Goody Filipino twirler box of yo-yos. I should have had a picture of it open too as well. But it is full of yo-yos. I think it has 24 in the box, of which all but 2, I believe they said in the listing, were originals. And they all looked in pretty good condition. Now, a couple things about this. If you went back a few years in collecting, especially in the late 90s, Goody was a hot topic as far as yo-yo collecting. Needless to say, the Goody Rainbow, one of them at one point, it's not anywhere close to that now, sold for over $2,000. So there was a big, it had a big fan base. Johnny Tillotson, the famous rock and roll singer, collected Goody yo-yos. I think that kind of actually increased the price of them because he was always out looking for yo-yos and was paying top dollar for them. But this is the first box I've seen on sale of the midget, which is the 10-cent yo-yo. I have some other boxes, but I haven't seen any out there for the 10-cent version. Now, these are not the yo-yos that have the animal figures on the back. That would be amazing if it was, especially at this price, because it's asking $274, which I think for this box in that condition with those yo-yos is a good deal. Again, I think the only reason this one hasn't sold is because of COVID-19 and everybody watching their pennies right now. Probably not the best time to be selling yo-yos, but a pretty good time to be buying yo-yos. So keep an eye on that one. I may break down and take another thought at looking at that one myself, but I'll give everybody watching a first shot at that because I think it's a pretty cool item. And after scanning everything on eBay right now, I think that's my hot pick number 1 of the week. Now, we all love great yo-yos. We all love finding great finds on the internet, but we also see a lot of crap out there. And trust me, when you've got 90,000 yo-yos out there, it kind of irritates you to have to sort through so much to get to the really golden yo-yos that are interspersed throughout the listings. So I'm also going to have my nasty dog of the week, where I pick one item for sale and I basically diss it. I hope this doesn't offend whoever has it up for sale, but if it does, too bad. It's still a nasty dog of the week in my mind. So let's, without any further ado, let's go to our nasty dog of the week.
Nasty dog of the day.
All right, so here it is. I have a lot to say about this, and this is something that every yo-yo collector will recognize, and if you're not a yo-yo collector yet, you will eventually see these on sale. And I'm not saying that this is necessarily a bad yo-yo or actually something that I wouldn't want to have in my collection. I obviously do. But here's the background story. Let's fire that photo up of what's for sale here. Here it is, the Roy Rogers yo-yo, and they've got a complete box here, woohoo, from 1950, yeah, the Roy Rogers Roundup and the contest and all that kind of stuff. And if you go out anywhere looking at flea markets, you always find a Roy Rogers yo-yo marked at about $40 or $50 each. And the guy that's selling it will say, this is a really good deal. They're really, really, really rare. Well, okay, so here's the background story on that. First of all, they're not really, really rare. Back when I first started collecting yo-yos, and this is probably in the, somewhere in the 80s, they had a big find of these yo-yos because this yo-yo roundup that they were going to do never happened. So they found a warehouse full of these boxes, and there were like 10 or 20,000. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. It's in the book. But anyway, they were selling these boxes to antique dealers for $3 a box. That's the box you just saw right now, full of yo-yos. So the antique dealers, everybody was buying these things right and left. They're all putting them up. They're putting them up at $40, $50 each. The Roy Rogers, people were collecting them. It's across collectibles, so that tends to raise the price. The yo-yo people were collecting it. And there were people that paid that much for it. But if you knew the history, you knew it's flooded. Yes, they're old. That's great. But there's a lot of them, and nobody's throwing out Roy Rogers yo-yos because they are old and they are very cool. So anyway, a Roy Rogers yo-yo should go for about $8-10 right now on eBay with the little cellophane thing. So if you're paying $40-50 for Roy Rogers yo-yo, you're really getting ripped off. And a box for $499, not happening in this day and age. They may have got that years ago with somebody that didn't know what they were doing. But because of this, because of the high price, because of the story behind it, even though it is a cool yo-yo and everybody should have a Roy Rogers yo-yo in their collection, this is going to be my dog of the week. Now, I want to say this. There is, go on and show up that next slide. There is one very cool thing. When I'm talking about the Roy Rogers yo-yo, I'm not talking about the Dale Evans yo-yo. And some of you watching me have said, what's that? They've never even seen it or heard of it. Well, because they made only a handful of these. I've heard different rumors. I heard there were 6. I heard there were 12. I mean, these are super rare. And in the context, for every one of those, there's 1,000 Roy Rogers yo-yos out there. That Dale Evans yo-yo, now that is a hot auction item. And it's only come up a couple of times on eBay, and they've always sold for hundreds of dollars. So when you're scanning through and you see the shape, don't always blow it off as a Roy Rogers yo-yo if they're asking hundreds of dollars for it. Take a close look and see if it's Dale Evans and what is her horse's name? Buttermilk, I think. Anyway, it's a great yo-yo to have in your collection. Highly collectible, very rare. And sitting beside the Roy Rogers, it looks really good. So anyway, that kind of completes my dirty, nasty dog of the week. And that's going to be a weekly show. And I will say this, our show is going to be shown on Facebook, and we're going to stream it to the other sites too. 7 o'clock on Thursday nights. We're hoping we'll get comments and all that from you guys, and start building up a little bit of an audience for yo-yo collecting. And like I said, we'll be talking about more things besides just collecting on the regular show. So I'm going to digress a little bit, and because I didn't really introduce myself, I guess I just assumed if people were watching, they already knew who I was because we didn't really promote this that much. But for the few of you random folks that just happened to log in, I'm Lucky Meisenheimer. I have the Guinness World Record largest yo-yo collection. Been involved in yo-yos for over 3 decades. I wrote the book on yo-yo collecting called Lucky's Collector's Guide to 20th Century Yo-Yos. I think most collectors think it's still the Bible of yo-yo collecting. And ironically, the prices are very close to what the values are bringing right now, even 20 years later, just because we went a big spike in 1998 and 2000, and it dropped down and it's kind of stabilized right now. But we're hoping for another yo-yo spike and another yo-yo craze. So hopefully this show will help promote that. But I also chair the World Records Committee, as I mentioned. We want to get those world records up and running again, and so check out the website at DocLucky'sYoYoTalk.com, or you can just go to yoyos.net. They'll both take you to the same site, and that's yo-yos with a hyphen, and that'll show all the current world records. And And so we want to set a little fire amongst the yo-yo community and fan the flames a bit and see what we can get going here. So now we're getting now here. I promised a nice giveaway. Let's show those prizes again. All right, here we got the Duncan Cross Flags Tournament, wooden top from Duncan, Doc Lucky's non-responsive yo-yo, a couple of stealth fires, 2004 World Championship yo-yo, string packs, 62 trick book, and then a signed copy. And I'm going to personalize this to you. Hopefully we've got a few people watching, because this pop quiz is going to appear now, and this we hope will be a regular. Oh, here it is. Flores ran the first yo-yo contest in what year? First one to answer wins it all. One winner, that's it. And I'm looking at Sean right now to see if we got an answer. Do we have a correct answer yet? No correct answers yet? Keep trying, my friends, keep trying. So Pedro Flores, if you know who Pedro Flores is, did we get one? Not yet. Where are we at? Still getting some answers being thrown out at us? Let's see. We got a couple. Oh, 1928. There it is. Brian Jardin. First one to hit it. Good job, Brian. We need to get you to. We need to get your information from us so we can mail you all that cool stuff. What's that? Okay, he's going to text you. So we'll get that stuff out in the mail probably on Monday for you. So good work on that. I'm glad. So there are a lot of people that were close to that. I wasn't sure. So in the future, probably what's going to happen, we'll have a two-part question. You'll have to write both answers. One of them I'll talk about during the show, which forces everybody to watch the show because I'm a jerk. And the second one will just be kind of a random thing. May even throw in a zombie question or two. You just don't know. So anyway, looking forward to seeing everybody in the future, talking about yo-yos, and it's going to be a little bit of an abbreviated show right now. We'll have a lot more to talk about when this COVID-19 stuff ends, because we'll get the contest up and going again. I want people to let me know when you're running contests and that sort of thing, so I can promote those a little bit on the show, and we'll see if we can get the next big yo-yo craze started. It's time. We're due for one. It's been a lot of years since everybody's been throwing, and we should have a lot of fun firing the flames of that. So anyway, I'm going to sign off for now. I'd like to say thanks again to Sean Berg for doing all that he's doing behind the scenes. I want to remind everybody, it will be Thursday at 7 o'clock. As I said, we tried it last night at 7 o'clock, and we had 12 great minutes of me talking without any sound. And people were still watching at the end, so I must be pretty freaky looking. So we'll sign off now, and I'll see you guys next Thursday.